You're listening to Them Three, a podcast that inspires people to be themselves while living life on purpose with purpose.
We're the McCleskeys, two brothers
and a sister,
raised by the same parents, generations apart.
When getting spanked wasn't considered abuse.
It should have been.
And when riding the bus without seatbelts was fun. Join us as we inspire siblings like ourselves to have more effective communication within their own family units.
You be you.
And inspire others to do the same.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Them Three podcast. We just jumping right in today.
Hey, that's what we do.
That's it. I'm Stacy McCleskey. Y'all can call me Stacy.
My name Billy McCleskey. You can call me Bill.
And I am Tim McCleskey Jr., the eldest. You can call me Tim Jr.
The
Eldest.
Yeah.
And this is Them Three podcast. Welcome. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, I'm good. I just want to let everybody know off the rip. I'm gonna be eating peanuts all through this joint, okay? You know what I'm saying? I just need a little something.
I can't wait till we done.
Wow, what you gonna be eating when we done? What you gonna be eating when we done, Tim?
I don't know. Deborah cooked some. She air fried some chicken. That was so good.
Let me tell you something. One of the greatest inventions of modern times is an air fryer.
Yeah.
Throw that out there.
Yeah,
I agree.
It really is. I got this Ninja air fryer. It air fries, it air roasts, air broils, it bakes, it toast, keeps things warm and dehydrates. It is, but I rarely use my oven now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so when I shouldn't say we, when Kim uses the air fryer, no, I mean, she does like chicken wings, these lemon pepper chicken wings, fire. And some Cajun chicken wings. The chicken tenders are good. French fries. But one time she tried to put in some broccoli because I make this popcorn broccoli and I usually put it in the oven, and it's like broccoli spears. You cut them up kind of small and, you season them, put some oil on it and they come out crispy, and it's a healthy meal and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to try these in the air fryer. No, ma'am. It did not work. Yeah. And so we ain't really figured out the vegetables yet. But yeah, definitely the chicken and the wings and the fries and stuff in the air fryer pretty good.
Yeah, that's how I like to do my my Brussels sprouts in the oven. A little olive oil along and some season, and then they are good. Yeah. Really good.
Yeah. I like it.
I haven't tried vegetables in the air fryer yet. I'm gonna try.
Stacey, what you been up to this week? What's been going on?
Honey, I mean, what's been going on? It's only Thursday and the country almost burned down yesterday. What have y'all been up to? What have y'all been up to?
Oh my.
My.
Hey, I saw this meme the other day. It said, I was looking so forward to 2021, and we made it 6 days in. All right. I'm looking for 2022 now.
No, and what's so crazy is folks are like, oh my God, this is in America. I can't believe this is happening. You can't. We all saw this coming. This is not a surprise in the least.
Right.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because when I started getting all these texts yesterday from folk we know, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to just turn my phone off. And I went to CNN for like 1 minute. I said, no, I ain't even gonna waste my time looking at this foolishness.
Yeah. But what's crazy to me is like a lot of the Republicans who are politicians who were going to object to Biden being the president-elect, right? During this process yesterday. And then all of a sudden they had this upheaval and then they say, you know what? I'm not going to object now. This is crazy. And I'm like, but it's been crazy.
It's been crazy. Exactly.
And one of the senators from South Carolina, I forgot his name, but he was saying enough is enough. And he's been a the biggest supporter of Trump, and he said Trump and I have had a great journey, and I hate it to end like this, but enough is enough. He said people are saying fraudulent. We got thousands of fraudulent votes, and dead people are voting. And I asked them to show me 10. You got 1,000, show me 10. Nobody showed me one. Nobody showed me dead people are voting. Nobody showed me that. I'm like, why are you just now saying this though?
Yeah.
You were going to object. You were going to object for what? You know what I'm saying?
So I mean, that's what.
Are these real leaders, right? You got this story out here. There's nothing, no facts behind it. Yet you just followed this man or this story, this fraudulent story, but you're supposed to be leading your people. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, I do. I think I understand. I think this individual has such a strong following in this party, in the Republican Party, that those who chided him to any degree, number one, he was going to lash out on them on Twitter or some kind of social media account. But then that person's base and his constituents in his own elected state or city, they were going to come back and say, "Oh, you against the president? We against you."
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean, he set it up real well. But now is the perfect time for them to say, "Oh no, now show us the proof," because it makes the president look so bad now because you had all these people coming in and running amok and that kind of thing. And I thought it was really interesting. You didn't see the National Guard. Then you had the police in there taking pictures with folks.
Right. Oh, they let him in.
This is real America. Now I understand why they let him in, because you had, I don't know, over 1,000 people there with guns. And if one person shot wrong, and all of a sudden you got all these crazy folk out there shooting, you probably had some drunk folk. I mean, ain't no telling what these folk was doing. They were riled up.
They were, but see, they knew that they were going to show up with their guns. They knew, and it wasn't a secret that they were going to show up today. It wasn't as if this was, oh, we're surprised. No, they knew they were coming with their guns. And half of them would be drunk. They know who these people are. They want to pretend like. But see, last summer during all the protests, Black Lives Matter movement, they were lined up like they were getting ready to fight the Avengers.
Oh, no doubt.
They were ready. Folks weren't showing up with guns and weapons and drunk.
Right.
People are marching for justice,
right,
for the right to live equally under the law. Meanwhile, these crazy people show up, these terrorists, let's call them what they are. They are terrorists, domestic terrorists, and they do nothing. They do nothing. So yesterday was a clear example of what I think as Black and brown folk, we've always known that this is America. This is what America is built on, injustice.
Yeah, and I think it was a clear picture, of we talk about white privilege, I mean, can you imagine if it was a bunch of Black people climbing over the walls, doing that, trying to get into the Capitol build? I mean, that would have been ridiculous. But I think that, I don't know what we have titled this particular podcast, this episode, but I think we were talking about, are you lying to yourself? I mean, to me, that, what happened yesterday and what's been happening related to this subject matter is really evidence that, sometimes we lie to ourselves. We continue to lie, even though we see the truth, we see the evidence that supports otherwise, but we continue to believe the lie. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I see this on a small level. There's levels to this, but I mean, it's just amazing how you can, because to me, when I look at Trump, I'm like, it's obvious what kind of person he is. Like, it's so obvious. What comes out of his mouth, what he does consistently, it's obvious. But other people don't see that. And I'm like, how do you not see that? Because they want to believe the lie. They want to believe what they're going to believe regardless of the facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's look at America for what it really is. People have been able to live a certain way with a certain expectation.
Yeah.
And it's now changing. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I mean, let's let's consider this. Black and brown people don't make up 60% of the population in this country. So it's not like we taking over because we're the majority. They're still the majority. But their children and grandchildren are now aligning with Black and brown people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so since that's now happening, they just can't believe it. It's like they just losing power. And that's all this is about.
Right.
Losing power and control.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a Black and Asian woman that's going to be the vice president of this country.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how they really genuinely feel about that? She could potentially be the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna be the president, man.
Yeah.
Hillary.
That's a prediction.
Hillary couldn't do that.
He's gonna be the president for one or two reasons. Joe Biden, he's an older guy, just like you said, Tim, you're the eldest. He's an older gentleman.
He is an older gentleman.
And then you look at based on how the tenure goes. She's probably gonna run.
Yeah.
If Joe Biden fulfills his 4 years or 8 years, then who's probably most likely going to run? It's probably going to be her. But or Stacey Abrams. You know what I mean?
Listen.
Listen.
So that woman.
Oh.
I say Joe Biden put her in charge of everything. The way she organized for the presidential election, and then for the election, the Senate runoff in Georgia.
Right.
Yeah.
That right there just goes to show when we come together and when there's true leadership, we can change the world. Truly.
Yeah.
But
I think the world is looking for that.
Yeah, they're looking at and they're like, you know what? Why aren't we doing that in Tennessee? Why aren't we doing that in Mississippi, Alabama? And because if you look at the numbers, and I don't know the specific numbers for Georgia, but I think if I remember correctly, in Tennessee, for the presidential election, there were like 3 million people that voted, maybe 3 to 4 million people that voted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about that. So how many people live in Tennessee? That means the majority of people are not voting.
Right.
And we could really shift the numbers in Tennessee if we got, more people in Nashville and Memphis to vote, which are blue cities, so to speak, right? And I think that, that was part of their strategy in Georgia. They were like, look, Atlanta is a blue city and a lot of the surrounding counties, but a lot of these people are not voting, right? So what we have to do is educate them, make sure that we have resources to enable them to vote. And that's what happened. Like, look, we can win. It reminds me of like stories I used to read about slavery in Mississippi, where this, at one point in the 1700s or maybe 1800s, slaves outnumbered, white people like 21 to 1. You know what I mean? I'm like, they could have just rose up and be like, yo, we taking over because we got numbers. But I mean, it's the same thing. So it's just education. People don't know, and just being able to just make it value their vote, basically.
Well, and that's why the Electoral College was put in place, because they outnumbered. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I think too, Billy, you hit on something. I think it's bigger than just educating people on policy. I think you have to give people a reason to feel like they have something to lose. So I look at what Bill Clinton did. He said, okay, you are receiving resources from the government. You have so many years, but we're going to create this program so you can become self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And they became self-sufficient. So what happened to our economy? We had a surplus. Go figure. Because now you got people who, instead of receiving all these benefits from the government, they're now contributing because they got a job, they're able to pay taxes, they become educated, and so now they got something to lose. But if you got somebody who ain't got nothing to gain and ain't got nothing to lose, why should he vote? Why should she vote if they've never voted before?
Right.
So there has to be something that Biden and Kamala Harris is going to do now for all of those people who are truly suffering. So if it's 40 million people, what you gonna do for the 40 million people in the next 4 years?
Right.
Because they'll vote for you again if you do something for them.
Right.
It doesn't make any difference whether they're Republican or not. If you do something for them and they're able to get their businesses back up and running and people are able to really go back to work, they're going to vote for you because you put money in their pocket, not a stimulus check.
right?
But a consistent check that they can take care of their families with, and they're paying taxes.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win across the board.
Right.
Right now, that's not happening.
People are getting excited about the $2,000 check, though.
I don't know why. It ain't enough. It's not like it's coming every month, which it should be, quite frankly. I mean, you look at other countries and, you know, they're getting a check every month. And not to say just, ooh, I'm getting a check. No, people have lost their jobs. I was just talking to a lady in the park when I was walking my dog Flower. And she was just talking about how in Midtown in New York, you go down there and it is a ghost town. These are businesses that have been around for generations, that they just had to close up shop. And not only did they have to close up shop, they're still paying rent on these spaces because the people who hold the leases won't let them out of it. But they're spending savings and spending generational money. Like, people in this country need help. And the fact that these people sat on their behinds last fall and winter, and couldn't decide what they were going to do for people. Meanwhile, they're collecting their bonuses up on the hill and having a lovely time with their families during Christmas. And people are suffering. People are literally suffering on the streets. And thank God they signed the thing where you can't evict people from their homes now,
right?
You know, or their apartments. But if that hadn't been signed, the homeless rate would go up, you know, or people be moving back in with parents and friends and whatnot.
I'm going to kind of throw a monkey wrench in this.
You gonna do what?
You know,
he gonna throw a monkey wrench in it. His Wi-Fi ain't all the way together.
Oh, okay. Hey,
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in this. So you know, I'm in the Nashville area, metropolitan area, and last year, you know, there was an expectation of over 500 conventions that were supposed to converge onto the city of Nashville, which would have brought a lot of tax revenue. Well, guess what? We had COVID. So all of those conventions were canceled. In fact, I was supposed to participate in 2 of them, which would have encompassed over 12 or 13,000 people that would have come and spent money and had created tax revenue. So what happened? They raised property taxes because there was no plan. And what I look at is, you look at how they manage money. Well, we know what's going to happen later, so we don't have to worry about the money now. Nobody's really planning for the future. See, and I think that's one of the challenges. We just assume there's always going to be more and more and more. And that's the consensus, I believe, in America, is that there's always going to be more money. There's always going to be more opportunities. Somebody's always going to come to my business. I'm always going to have my job. This person's always going to love me. I'm always going to have cable. That's not going to always be the case. And then all of a sudden, when things change, people aren't ready for it. Now, I'm not looking to be insensitive to where people are hurting, but I'm looking at the overall picture. What do we need to do differently now in terms of how we live and manage money so we can make sure we're prepared for the downturn next time?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But I do also think no matter how prepared you are sometimes, nobody was prepared for a pandemic in modern times, right? No one, which they should have been. I think during the Obama administration, you know, they were prepared for it. They had a whole team just in case a pandemic happened, because it has happened before. But I think no matter how prepared you are, as you say, a monkey wrench can be thrown in and can just turn everything upside down. And so I have a savings. I have a 401k. I have a pension. I have a couple of savings. It could get to a point where I could deplete everything. You know, can I go get a job at the grocery store? Yes. Okay. But that's not going to afford or pay for my life. Have I cut back on things? Yes. Which I think a lot of people have. But people who have kids, people who have sick kids, people who have to pay for certain medicines that they need that the insurance might not cover. I mean, we're talking about little things that sometimes, no matter how much you have saved and prepared and all this good stuff, that monkey wrench can be thrown in and can turn everything upside down and make you go, whoa. And we live in a country where we always talk about we're the greatest country in the world. And this government, this administration specifically, has looked at their citizens and gone, well, sorry, we'll get to you when we can. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
well, how do you, and back to the question, are you lying to yourself? Back, no, because I think it's relevant, based on what you guys are saying. Because if we think, hey, I'm good, I'm always going to have this, I'm always going to have money, I'm always going to have these resources, or I'm always going to have family or love or whatever, are you lying to yourself, right? And then even when we prepare for it, when we save money and when we invest and we try to make, create a life that's conducive to having a monkey wrench or unexpected surprises coming up, are we really just lying to ourselves? When I hear people say that the U.S. is the greatest country and all this, I started to question that several years ago, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that, sometimes, how do we know, how do we know that we're not lying to ourselves, right? Because when we believe something and we just believe it so strong, I think sometimes we don't see the truth or we don't see reality because we believe what we believe. If that makes sense, y'all. You have this belief system, and okay, let me give you an example. Because y'all look at me like y'all confused. No, but so there's the debate out who's the greatest of all time when it comes to basketball, right? Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Now you got people who love Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. They ain't gonna hear nothing else. And then you got people who love LeBron James. They ain't gonna hear nothing else. They already believe what they believe. Right. And you can show them stats. You can say Michael Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron only won 4, right? And you can say, Michael did this, and that. LeBron, or vice versa. But it's just a matter of opinion or whatever. But, you're going to believe what you're going to believe, right? And it's it can be a heated debate, but, most of the time it's a lighthearted debate. But I just think when it comes to serious things, I look at my personal life, right? And I say, am I doing things correctly in my business? Do I have it going on? Hey, this company reached out. They want to do an interview on me. They put me in the paper. Do I got it going on? Do I believe that? Right? Or even vice versa. If I make mistakes, do I believe I'm an idiot? But I think that I'm gonna answer my own question. In order to get to the right place mentally, we just have to constantly check ourselves. We just have to constantly, we talk a lot about communication amongst each other, but what's the communication you're having with yourself, right? Are you really saying, hey, how can I do this better? Or how can I fix this? Or is this where I need to be? Or do I need to seek advice? Do I need to seek counsel on this so I can make sure things are in order? So we can quit lying to ourselves, because any issues that I've had, big issues, is normally because I'm telling myself a lie, but I just believe it.
That's so true. I've experienced the same thing. When I'm lying to myself, it's usually the big issues, and it's because we're comfortable where we are a lot of time, or at least for myself. It's like I dealt with hardcore last year, procrastination. And that's one thing I said, I don't want to bring into 2021. I want to leave procrastination there and move forward. Was I lying to myself when I said I want to leave it there? Of course I was, because I think procrastination is a huge part of every person's life, but it's how you allow it to affect you and how you allow it to affect what you need to get done. I think. And so I had to check in with myself and say, okay, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling too comfortable? You got to get uncomfortable to get things done. But I think too, we lie to ourselves because we don't want to deal with things, especially when it comes to like difficult conversations. I think about how Tim said, a lot of these people, their children and grandchildren are aligning themselves with Black and brown people and politics, that will help us all, but their parents can't see that. And so, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. I was lying to myself that I wasn't going to lose my train of thought.
Let me procrastinate on that.
But
I think you're right, Stacy.
I think well, what I was going to say was, I think we don't want to deal with things. It's like those conversations. A lot of times you don't want to have those conversations with your parents, especially when it comes to politics, because you might be on totally different ends of the spectrum, and that can be scary, you know. But I always say, if you lead with love, if you lead, you know, with kindness, if your intention is to say, look at this from my perspective, you know, try to step in this person's shoes, you know, then you can have an effective conversation. But sometimes we just don't want to deal with it. I know sometimes I keep things to myself and lie to myself about things I need to say, because I'm like, I just don't feel like gearing up for the fight. Because I feel like things are gonna be thrown back in my face.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Well, you know, sometimes I think that lie comes down to us accepting the fact that the truth sets us free. I'll give you an example. So I've always felt like it's my responsibility to take care of my wife and my son. And during the pandemic, you know, I'm at home, and there were times when Deborah would have to go into the office or the school and work, and Rowan's doing his thing. So I would try to, you know, make sure the clothes are washed, try to have some food cooked when she came in, just, and then trying to work too. And a part of it would get a little overwhelming, but I was so used to it, with just at the time being me and Rowan, that I just kind of took on that role. Well, there became a moment where Deborah came home, and she was upset because I needed to go take Rowan somewhere, but I didn't ask her. And she said, why don't you ask me? I can take her. I'm like, well, I know you're getting home from work. I want you to relax. You know, I can go do this. And it bothered her that I wasn't using the resource God gave to me to help make my life easier. And so we had a really candid conversation. So those truths had to come out. Right. And she was actually upset that I wasn't. It was as if I didn't appreciate that she was available. So I remember thinking after that conversation, 2 days later, I'm working. She comes home. She goes straight to the kitchen, and she's in there. Next thing you know, I'm here. I'm smelling food, and Rowan's like, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. She takes him a plate. She brings me a plate, and it really just, this wave of freedom just dropped, like that weight that I had put on myself. Because I'm lying to myself saying I got to do everything. Right. But I didn't have a conversation. I didn't open my mouth and say what I felt. And I think that's part of the problem. People aren't really saying what they feel, even if it's wrong, for fear that somebody will reject them. See, we don't like rejection.
Ooh, honey,
so we say nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and so that just helped me. And so now I'm like, every time I feel a certain way, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. And so much more comes out of that. And I think you evolve as a person, you evolve in your relationship. And that's one of the reasons I love the accountability call that I do with Billy, because it's helping me to see where I'm challenged. And then I start to think, okay, I need to be accountable to this. So I'm gonna tell my wife this, and I'm gonna tell this person that. So now I gotta be accountable to somebody else. The truth is coming out. So I'm forced to deal with what I've been lying about to myself. And if we can do that, we get better. It's not overnight, it's a little bit at a time, just a little bit more at a time, and we get better and better. Next thing you know, people are like, man, you blew up overnight. No, just a little bit at a time, over time.
Hey, that's powerful, man. There's so many lessons in that, but I think the main one I heard you say was just, we sometimes we don't recognize our resources that are right there in front of us, and it could be in other people or in intangibles as well. But man, that's so key. And that's why I think accountability is important. We got to constantly either have somebody check us or hold us accountable, or we just got to check ourselves, man. That's key. The ability to do a self-assessment is so powerful. You know what I'm saying? To look at yourself and say, okay, I'm getting these accolades and people think I got it going on, but what do I really need to be working on, right? And what are my weak areas, and where do I need to sharpen the saw? That's really key. And having that core group, whether it's a family member or an individual or accountability group or whatever, really helps. Stacy, you in the accountability group, you just don't never call in. Hey, do me a favor too, Stacy. Stacy, can you change your name on the Zoom to Anastasia McCleskey? Because it says Timothy McCleskey Jr.
think it's because I had signed into his account. Yeah. I thought about that the other day, but I didn't. I lied to myself and told myself that I was going to change it.
Hey Tim, how you liking the new house though, man? You moved in, you got moved in, and all that good stuff. How are we looking at?
You know, it's interesting because it's bittersweet, in that, you know, and this is something I'll probably talk to my clients about when I get back out and speak again. But I was telling Deborah, you know, this little small house that was about 1,000 square feet, and we had so many issues with it, but it has so many memories, right? From the ending of my first marriage to my second marriage, and everything that I've learned and how I've grown in the midst of all of that. And so I'm still trying to figure it out. You know, it's calming. I don't hear nothing outside.
Hey,
I ain't got to worry about
to the suburbs. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Deborah was like, one time we were talking, I was standing up and I heard something, and she said, "You just dropped to the ground." And she's like, "What you doing?" I said, "You need to get out."
Wait, but this was when y'all was over at the other house.
At the cast.
At the other house. He was like, "Wait a minute, I thought those were fireworks."
Listen,
you would think those are fireworks.
If
you ain't been over here.
We got 6 eyes. We got 6 eyes on the stove that work. Back then we had one.
Wow.
We had one eye.
Oh my gosh. Y'all got what,
upgrade.
two or three working bathrooms?
Ooh, working bathrooms.
Working.
We got 1, 2. We got 3 working bathrooms.
Wow, look at God. Let me tell you something, because Timon, I used to be afraid to pee in your bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
The way I would pee real quick and wash my hands so fast and get out of there, man, because it was just so many elements and layers and spirits and energies and things. I was like, just focus on what you need to do.
Hey, the people gonna think you stayed in a shack, man. Hey, how long did you stay in that house though?
About 9 years.
Wow.
Oh, no, I thought it was longer than that. Okay.
I did too. It felt like 15.
10 years, about 9, 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny too, because I think it was actually a gift. And what I mean by that is, at the time that we moved, that's what I needed. You know, we moved around 2009. Okay. And that was right after, you know, President Obama came in, the market was down, and the work that I did then was mortgage protection insurance. And that market died. The housing market was down. So I couldn't sell their products. So I started selling a final expense, which is like burial insurance. And that wasn't my element. That I wasn't good at that. So it was hard for me to make money. So I needed something where somebody could say, "Hey, you can pay me $600 a month and you can live in this little house." Right. I was thankful.
I mean, for that. Really, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And to know that I had that opportunity, and then everything that transpired within a matter of 2 or 3 years from that point, I needed that. And so I'm grateful, because had I been in a house when I lived in Memphis, I would have lost that, you know. So I'm grateful. So sometimes we have to find the good in our challenge.
Oh yeah.
You know, what sometimes people mean for evil, God means for good. So I just find the good in it, and I'm appreciative of it. Now I can appreciate where I am in such a greater way.
Yeah. I think about like last year during the pandemic, how like my entire industry shut down. And I will never forget the day when they were running around the theater and we were getting ready to start previews, and I was like, I need a break. You know, I'm grateful for the work that I've been blessed with and given since I was 19 years old. I'm 36 now, and I've been working consistently in an industry where people are like, "You're never going to make it," my entire career. I'm very grateful for that. But I was like, I need a break. And then the industry shut down for the whole year. And when it first happened, I was like, oh, okay, vacation. And then when it was like, well, it's not coming back and we don't know when, and the date kept getting further away, I was like, wow, okay. But I needed a break. I also needed to focus on my own projects. I needed to focus. I needed to sit with myself and assess myself, as you said, Billy, and stop lying to myself about certain things and figure out how to be impeccable with my word and intentional with my actions. And not to say I've discovered everything with sitting with myself and being home and working on my stuff last year, but I've definitely started to chip away at that list and chip away at the top of that iceberg and dig deeper. And so I hear you in the midst of a storm. Sometimes beautiful things blossom and bloom, and we don't even realize it at the beginning. But as you're going through it, you see that, you discover new things.
Well, it's just like you said, Tim. I heard you say too, be grateful, be thankful. And sometimes not even after the storm, but in the midst of the storm or the challenge that you're going through. And that reminds me of that book, Stacy, that you had recommended to me, The Magic. And going through that 28-day exercise of gratitude every day. You have these particular things to do for 28 days focused on gratitude. And when I did that exercise, I noticed how I felt. I felt better. I just noticed how I was feeling. But I was able to look at things that I've always had and I kind of take for granted, but just to sit and be thankful for them, And even I think a couple of days out of that 28 days, it was, some of the assignments said, look at things that have challenged you. I think one of the assignments was related directly to money, and it said to bills, I think. And it was like, when you get bills in, say thank you for this bill, right?
Yeah.
And when you pay the bill, say thank you. And it said, even if you can't pay the bill, say, I'm thankful that I got the bill and that the money is coming. Let me put that over here. Or when I pay the bill, or I'm thankful for this bill because it provides this service for me. And and that service enables me to do this and that. And it was just a different perspective. Even it's so simple, but I think that sometimes when we're in a challenge, there are things to be thankful for. The other thing about that is, as we grow as individuals, we should have more quality challenges. Like when I was in my early 20s, I may have had to challenge with, man, I got to pay the water bill, right? That's the challenge you have when you first get out on your own or something, right? And you trying to be an entrepreneur. Well, 20, 25 years later, you shouldn't be having that same challenge, right? So we got a better quality problem. And my problem now may be, hey, I'm trying to add people to my team at my company. I'm trying to accomplish this goal. And we're not on track. Okay, that's a problem. That's a challenge. But let me find something in that to be grateful for. And then that's when I think the blessings come, because the energy and the attitude towards that challenge is like, God is looking at us like, listen, you're challenged right now, but look at where you are. Look at how I'm blessing you. And I liken that to being a parent, right? If my son Miles comes to me and he's having an issue, I'm gonna tell you something so crazy. It's the simplest thing, but Miles does this sometimes, and we're about to eat dinner, and maybe we're setting the table or something, and I'll hand Miles his plate, and he'll say, "Thank you." And like when he says that, I'm like, "Man, you're welcome." Or if I bring home Chick-fil-A, he'll open it up and he'll say, "Thank you," And I just think that when we say thank you to God, God is like, man, you are welcome. What else do you need? Versus complaining, why me? This is all I got. I don't have enough. Be thankful, and then you'll get more.
Yeah. I got you the book too for Christmas, Timbo.
I know. I plan to look at it. Once I figure out where it is.
You're gonna look at it.
I don't know where it is right now.
Man, I'm gonna read it.
Well, I mean, y'all did just move, so yeah. But it's such a great book. I know when I started it last year, like you said, it just makes you happy. You wake up literally happier because the you don't sweat the small stuff anymore. You don't sweat the big stuff, kinda, and you just practice intentional gratitude throughout your everyday life. I mean, even there was one exercise that I went back and did again, where you say thank you to everything. Thank you to your feet for touching the ground.
Yeah.
Thank you for the rug for receiving your feet that touch the ground. And that might sound crazy to some people, but when I tell you it brings you joy. And so when you see people, storming the Capitol on the news, you go, oh yeah, knew that was coming, but you can go, let them have it and go on about your day, you know?
Yeah, that's right. I think Billy said something that I thought was interesting. When you have a certain mindset, a certain attitude, blessings come. And I thought, I wonder if the blessings always come. But if you're not ready for the blessing, you miss your opportunity and you didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that God doesn't see you, God doesn't love you, somebody else doesn't love you. The opportunities for jobs aren't presenting themselves. What have you done to be prepared for the opportunity when the opportunity meets? So if you're not in the right place, and that place might not be a physical place, it could be a mental place.
Yeah.
There have been times I remember I would work all day on the phone with clients, and when you're talking all day, after so many hours, your mind gets into a fog. My mind gets into a fog. You just get tired of talking. And I might have this client to talk to at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and I just don't feel like it. So I'm hoping that they cancel. Right? I'm hoping. And before COVID, I might have to drive somewhere or go down. If I was working out of town, I might have to go to the lobby and meet that client. But I got to put on that face, right? I got to put on that face like I'm excited, like I'm ready to work with them, just like it's the first person that day. And that's the person that I closed the deal on. Right. Because I was ready. I still showed up.
Yeah.
I still had to have the right attitude. And then I get to the end and I'm like, man, I'm glad I showed up. I'm glad I took the phone call.
Right.
But it's a lesson, right? Sometimes I would want to go to the mall, and then I end up getting busy doing some work and don't go. And then I get a phone call or something happens and I get some work done. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I didn't go to the mall. It's all about the choices we make. And we have to develop the consistency in making the right choices over and over and over again. And we may not see it on the front end, but I guarantee on the back end, the reward is so much greater.
Wait, people still go to the mall even before COVID? Like, that's a thing?
Hey, they do down here. Trust me. They going to the mall. Hey, real quick, I just want to make sure people know the book we're talking about is The Magic by Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah, she wrote The Secret.
Yeah, she's also, you probably heard of The Secret. So she wrote The Secret as well. But her book is called, this book that we're referring to is called The Magic. Grab that book. I actually didn't even buy the book, Stacy. I think you got it for Kim as well.
I got it, yeah.
But I went to YouTube, and there's actually a community of people and that do a video for each day on YouTube, and you can follow certain people, and it's like a 5 to 10 minute video each day, and they actually read the chapter out loud, and then they read the assignment. So I would just do that every morning and listen to somebody read it, and then get the exercise. But I guess Kim got the book now and go back through it. But I like what you said, Tim, because I think, man, you're right. I believe that blessings are always coming. Like, and when you get in the spirit of gratitude, that's what you're thankful for, right? You're thankful for these blessings, whether big or small, right? And so the blessings are always coming. And I think, like, mentally, we probably miss more blessings than we receive or notice. And I know that to be true, because when I get in a state or a sense of gratitude, I recognize more blessings that I've asked for, that I prayed for, right? They didn't necessarily come how I expected them to come, but because I'm in a spirit of gratitude, I recognize the blessing, right? So I think that's why being grateful and having thankfulness consistently and being intentional about it is so important, so that we can just recognize the opportunities. Because I think Thurgood Marshall said, most people don't recognize their blessings because it shows up in overalls. And what he was saying is, it doesn't show up how you think it's going to look.
It's how you want it.
And it shows up like looking like work, right? But in reality, like you said, Tim, you had to run that last appointment. You had to go do some work to get that last blessing, even though you were tired. And I'm here to tell you, I promise you, I run a my technology company, and I got a small sales team. And sometimes we get company leads in, and guess who I'm going to give the leads to? I'm going to give the leads to the salespeople who are the most grateful for what they're doing. And how do I know they're grateful? Because they're working. if I see you putting in work, if I see your attitude, you got a positive attitude, then that's who I want to give the leads to. That's who I want to bless. And I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stop lying to yourself.
Drop the mic, yeah. All right.
That's
hey,
it.
So how we looking on time, Stacy?
I haven't really been paying attention today.
Okay.
I've been in the conversation.
I think
It's
45 minutes though.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on when you. It depends on when you start the actual.
And that's good time. I think we've been given some good nuggets though today.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I truly do. I think.
But I think this leads people into a different way of thinking for this year, because the idea of New Year's resolutions, it just doesn't work, right? I mean, everybody gets excited about doing something. And I get tickled when I would go to the gym and I'm like, I know I ain't gonna get on my treadmill for the first 3 weeks because everybody going to the gym.
Yeah,
they gonna be there. But after 3 weeks, they go and everything go back to normal again.
Yeah, because people have been they lied to themselves about the resolutions.
Yeah, or they don't have that accountability.
That's true.
Or
they don't want that accountability.
Right.
And the thing is, I think what we're doing is we're saying, look, if we can learn appreciation for what we already have and help by allowing people to keep us accountable to the truth and not the lie, we will get better in this year.
But
we'll get better in life. And
go ahead, Tim. Go for it.
Well, I was going to say, and the reality is, it won't just be us that gets better. Our environment will get better.
Yeah.
The people that we're closest to, because they'll feed off of our energy and how we're living and what we're saying and doing, and they will change. So our environments will conform to our behavior. If we eat ice cream and candy every day, then the people around us gonna like, can I have some? And then they gonna start eating candy and ice cream every day. Now everybody got diabetes, but if we
ice cream and candy don't cause diabetes all the way. Genetics too.
You eat it all the time.
Hey, but that's real though. If your cup runneth over, you got to get a water to somebody else.
That's right.
So I mean, that's key. That's key. I just want us to make sure that we constantly check. We have parameters in place to check our belief system, and I think a good way to do that is to see your results. Look at your results. There's scripture that says you could tell a tree by the fruit it produces. A good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. And so for me, I'm constantly looking at what am I producing? Is it in line with what goals I set? And if it's not, then we just got to look at the evidence, man. We got to look at the evidence. And if you don't see what you need to be seeing, then you need to switch that thing up. You need to switch it up.
Yeah, but you have to be willing. You have to be willing to switch it up too.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready, that's okay too. Honestly, if you aren't ready to switch it up, that's okay. But understand that then you'll be stuck. A sitting duck,
Yeah, that's all right. Hey, so listen, before we close out, Stacy, I want to know, are you going down to the to DC?
Here's the thing. So I wanted to go to the inauguration.
Yeah. What's it called?
Huh?
You want to go where?
To the inauguration.
I thought you said inauguration.
That too. The inauguration is what I was going to go to. No, I wanted to go to the inauguration. I knew because of COVID that there would be some restrictions in place. I reached out to my representatives of my district here in New York. And I think after yesterday, it all needs to be virtual, to be quite honest. I think, Biden needs to be in the White House, in the Oval Office. I think Kamala needs to, I guess, also be in the Oval Office. I think it needs to be virtual and no one needs to be outside because, I was watching the news this morning and they were talking about how they're going to build these fences that are 7 feet tall and all this stuff. But you just never know who's on the inside because these people were able to actually breach. The Capitol has not been breached since right before the Revolutionary War. Right. By the British. And so the fact that they were let in, because we all saw it, we saw it with our own eyes in real time, lets me know that there are people working on the inside. There are people on the inside, whether they're police officers, whether they're, senators or other people Congress working in there that are helping these people. And if not helping them, they agree with them and they're aligning themselves with them. And so I think everything just needs to be virtual to protect our incoming president and vice president. I will be watching and cheering because just like what happened in Georgia yesterday, outside of everything that happened in the Capitol, it was a great day yesterday. And we must celebrate these victories because this country is moving forward and we can't get distracted by this small group of people. We have to remember that this is a small group of people. Yes, millions of people voted for Trump to serve 4 more years. But at the end of the day, what happened yesterday was a small group of people. And I think people who did vote for him are coming to terms with what they voted for. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they'll wake up a little bit more and we can move forward and mend this country back together because it is truly divided. So no, I will not be going to DC to answer your question. Hey. I will be in New York City screaming at the top of my lungs, having a glass of champagne. All right.
Well, I think that's a wrap, y'all. Let's wrap this baby up. We dropped some nice insights and nuggets. We do have a takeaway, which was the book. So, go grab that book. Hey, you in fact, I tell you what you do. The book is on our website. Okay. Yes. So just go to them3podcast.com. And if you want to purchase the book, you just, it'll just click on it. It'll take you to Amazon so you can grab it. But it's a great exercise. Or just go to YouTube and check out the videos. Yeah. I always do that. But other than that, Tim, you got any last words, man?
No, I think what you guys said is so great. If we just be honest and accept our own truth, what is true, and allow ourselves to be accountable, be held accountable, we'll be so much better. We'll make that decision.
You got that Hendersonville internet.
When your internet start, we like.
No, I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with my internet. I know what's wrong with my internet.
What's wrong with it?
I'm having to use my phone because the guy came to bury the internet line and then he cut the line. So my internet got cut, my cable and internet got cut, and they're supposed to come this afternoon. Oh wow! So you're using your hotspot on your phone? I'm using my hotspot today. Yeah.
Wow.
Does he still work for the cable company?
He don't work now. They're contractors, and when I talked to Comcast, they were like, "Well, every once in a while that happens." But I'm like, seriously, dude? They cut, he's supposed to bury the line. He cut. He messed up the line.
He was lying to himself about his skills.
Hey, we got AT&T at my house. One time I was cutting the grass. I saw the line, but I was like, I'm not gonna cut it. I rolled the line over it. Click, click.
Lied to yourself.
Like, good thing about it was in the morning, and AT&T literally came out there like 3 hours later, and some dude. Wow. I was wondering why I was just laying on the ground. And I didn't think it was the line to my house. I was like, it wouldn't be on the ground. It was.
So they send somebody else to bury the line. That's what they call it. But it's not the technician. Yeah, the technician just hooks up your cable, and they have to send that guy up to bury the line.
Wow, it's a job for everything out there.
Yeah. Keep everybody employed. Well, that's some information for you guys, just in case.
You didn't know.
All right, y'all. We'll holler at y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace and blessings.
All right. Deuces. Peace.